What do you say about the state of standards in our industry? Are they in general followed, or are we still in the state of some kind of Wild West development where delivery is more important than a robust solution?
Marius, I often say that the year are living in software development is 1820. If you ask me, Venkat, what year are you in? I'm going to say I'm in 1820. Let me clarify why I say 1820. The reason I say 1820 is back in 1820, back in 1820, medical experts, doctors in London would keep the windows open in the middle of the day. And the reason they did that was they thought that something was bad in the air and they wanted to get it out so that patients can get better. The surgery rate to the rate of death after surgery was very high in the 1820s, and doctors were known to walk with blood on their coat, and big doctors would walk with blood on their coat. They would be so proud of all the surgery they made and the blood stains they would have on their coat. Now, I don't know if many people know this. You know this disease called malaria, and we know today that malaria is caused by mosquitoes. But if you really focus on the word malaria in English, it's mal, air, meaning bad air. So they actually thought that malaria was caused by bad air. And that was our ignorance as a field, if you think about it. It's funny to think about it, right? So we thought the air was causing it when mosquitoes was biting us, and a specific type of mosquitoes that were actually causing this. And I say this because medical industry is so important, and yet it was so backwards only about 200 years ago. And software is there right now. I wouldn't call it a wild, wild west. It's even primitive than wild, wild west, in my opinion. And this is stemming from hypocrisies. It's coming from really being indifferent to the reality. So when we say it's got to be done yesterday, and speed is the most important, that is, I would put one word to that. That's called professional negligence. And personally, I have served on at least 4 lawsuits so far, where I served as a witness. And companies would hire me and say, here's a code base. We are suing this company because they created software that's horrible to maintain. So we want you to read the source code and tell us whether we have a basis for the lawsuit. And I've served in 4 lawsuits so far. And here's the funny part. I remember flying down to one of the European cities. It could have been Krakow, I don't remember. And a company emailed and said, we really need to talk to you. We are looking for an expert witness. And I said, I land at this time. An hour later, call me. I'll talk to you. I know you're in a rush. And the company calls me, and the lawyers, of course, represent the company, called me, and they say, we want you to represent and be an expert witness. And I started talking to them. And within 15 minutes, I said, I really recommend you don't talk to me anymore. And they said, why? And I said, but looking at the information you provided so far, I would argue that your company that you're representing is guilty of the problems. And I'm really sorry. You should really find somebody who would speak in favor of you, and I'm not the person, so walk away. And to me, where I'm heading with this is, it's not the question of if, but it's a question of when software is going to become a regulated industry. When enough lawsuits start piling up, we are going to see the cost of failure is going to kick in more, and now organizations will become defensive because companies won't insure products that are not reviewed. I'm currently building a house, and I cannot tell you literally how many inspections are being done on the house every step of the way. I'm just blown away by insight into this, right? So it's not like we built the house and then somebody comes and inspects it. Every step there is inspection. We are putting plumbing there's an inspection on the plumbing. We are putting, electric wiring, inspection on electric wiring. We are putting the wall, lath on the wall. There's inspection for it. The engineering industry has regulations. I cannot walk out today and say, folks, I'm going to build a building for somebody and he wants to pay me. I'll get arrested if I do. And even if I'm a legitimate builder, I cannot just build and walk away. I've got to get building permit and inspection every step of the way. Otherwise, I'll get arrested. And software is an unregulated industry. If software is used for mission critical applications, we cannot survive. Software is no longer an esoteric field. It's not an amateur industry that it was 40, 50 years ago. And so it's a question of time before the government, the Congress, the boards, the agencies that wake up to this and say, wait a second, the cost of failure is really high. And medical was unregulated industry a while ago. Construction was, but the cost of failure was very high. When people were dying at such a high rate, we started changing the way we do things. And it's a question of when it happens. I might be retired by then, but I don't think that's going to be the case. 200 years from now, or 500 years from now, people are going to be just sitting and laughing at what we are doing and saying, gosh, I can't believe that's the way they wrote code in the past. So don't get me wrong. There are some beautiful things we are doing in our field, right? I don't want to be totally cynical. The innovation is amazing. But what I'm focusing on is not the innovation. What I'm focusing on right now is our inability to sustain that process of development by being able to produce quality software. So innovation is great, but sustainability and production and relying on what we produce and being able to support it, that economic cost is something we need to think about. And I think truly that we are in 1800s right now. And I hope that we will move on to the modern century not too long from now.